Right. So in this video, I just want to highlight how we can run a species trait model in EcoCommons in the dashboard tools that we have currently available. And just keep in mind, this is a work in progress. There's some interesting things that we're able to do. We don't have access to some of the species traits data that Austraits and and that TERN is bringing together. So there'll be access to more data, and we'll be cleaning up these workflows a little bit in the coming months. But it's still worth kind of highlighting. Well, what can you do currently in our dashboard tools in terms of species trait modeling? And so we'll just open up the platform to start. So if we go into the Analysis Hub, we click into the Modeling Wizards and the BCCVL Modeling Wizard. Species Trait Modeling Experiment is what we're going to be looking at today. So when we click into that, we'll go into one that we've already run. So this is a species of plant that we got data from Austraits on. And again, we're developing this, we're developing a use case and hooking in with their data. So we'll be doing more of this down the track. But for any of the algorithms, so you can run currently 3, and soon we hope to be able to add mixed modeling into the mix. So we'll come back to that. But currently you can run a classification tree analysis, you can run a GAM or a generalized additive model, and you can run a generalized linear model. And just like with the species distribution models, you can parameterize or adjust the modeling arguments for each one of those models. So you can look at how much cross-validation you're going to do, et cetera, et cetera. Choose the family of your response variable. So what kind of link function do you need to use? How are you going to treat NA values? This must be a GAM, yeah. Yep, we're going to use RMEL, but you could use something else if you wanted to. So anyway, you set up your arguments for your algorithm, and you select some data. So we've selected, if I go to select data set, I've got a couple of trait data sets that I can choose from. I've gone with this one that, again, we got from Austraits. Then you can configure your model, and this is something that we need to work on down the track. In this example, what we're going to do is we're just going to treat our species trait. In this case, it's leaf width. That's going to be our response variable, right? So that's our Y variable. And then we're going to use the platform to find all of our independent variables at the locations where these traits were measured, right? So we needed data on the location where each trait was measured in order to take advantage of the spatial data that's available on the platform. You can just upload some species trait data and run analyses on those without using the environmental variables, the spatial environmental variables that are available on the platform. But if you want to use the spatial data that we have on the platform, you need a Latin long associated with each one of these measurements, right? And down the track, like if you have multiple measurements at one site, you can start to run a mixed model or something like that. That'll be down the track. But for now, we're keeping it simple. We're not gonna pay attention to species, so we could do we could use species as a random effect in a mixed model, right, in GLMM. If we wanted to, we're not going to do that here. We could use latitude and longitude as random effects potentially, or as fixed effects. Sorry. So there's a variety of things that we could do, but this example we're keeping it fairly simple. So we're identifying that leaf width is a continuous variable, and it's a trait. And that's going to be our response variable. Trait is always going to be our response variable in the ones that we have accessible currently. And then we're going to choose some environmental data. So in this case, we've just selected something easy. So we've selected some bioclim variables from the ANU climate data. Yeah, you can view those just like you could in species distribution modeling, but you can have a look at maximum temperature or whatever precipitation or temperature variables in that bioclim set. I think we're looking at isothermy here. But once you've chosen these are going to be your independent variables. So I've selected what, 1, 2, 3, about 6 or 7, 6 independent variables. And I select my study extent. So this includes where all my presence points are. And should include some of the maps will be just for that extent that I've looked at, and then I press run. So when we go in to look at our experiment, so if we go into your workspace and my results, these are all the various results I have. Traits is the results that we're going to take a closer look at. So if we look at the trait, so this is that's our GAM, our GLM, and our classification tree results. And you could rerun it. So you could click there and rerun that analysis, changing the parameters, give it a different name, and you get a second output. If we go into those results, so this is the result from the GLM. So you get just what you would expect if you were running a GLM in R, right? You've got this is your model summary. So these are your coefficients and your errors and your, this is what was your call. So all that stuff is there. Your AIC value. You also get the diagnostic plots, so your residual plots. This doesn't look like a great model, right? And some other plots you get, and a variety of maps, right? So in this case, and I'll just show you one example. So that is how we would predict leaf width would vary for that plant across Australia. Sorry, I'm not showing the map very well, but you get the idea. So essentially, you can map out how you expect a species trait to vary across Australia. That's one way you can use this workflow. And again, this is a work in progress, so there'll be more coming soon. And I'd encourage you, if you want to learn more, you can check out our various support articles. There is one that's been drafted. It should be up online in the next day or two, how to run a species traits model. And it goes into more detail about, all this stuff. So how you choose different things and the kind of GLMM that we can call. Again, right now we don't have GLMM enabled, but it's a variable slope or a variable intercept fixed slope model that we run. So whatever is these different colored lines is your random effect that's a factor of something. So that might be your site, or it might be, who knows. But anyway, and lots more information that you can find on the website. I'd encourage you, if you want to learn more. Again, species trait is a work in progress, but if you want to play with it, you can upload some data. We've got another video on how to upload data. It would need species, lat, lon, and some species traits in the columns, but you can check that out either in a support article or in another video. Please get in touch with us if you want to. Sign up to our newsletter if you want to follow our progress as we sort of refine species trait modeling. And please, if you do run into something that is a bug, click on that feedback tab when you're in the platform and write about the bug, or give us some positive feedback, whatever you want to write, and put your email address in there and send it to us. So that is, I think, the last of the videos. Again, please get in touch if you have any questions.